What's up guys, welcome back. Available right now is one of the best retro game collections I have ever seen or played till date, in the form of Arc System Works' latest release, Double Dragon and Kunio-kun Retro Brawler Bundle. A fantastic collection featuring 18 games, 7 of which have never been released outside of Japan. That's a really cool thing. And of course there are some fan favorites. Well, there's just a lot to say about this collection, even more to show off, and yes, I'm going to take you through all 18 games, showing you the ins and outs, the pros and cons, a little bit of history lesson here and there, and all in all show you what this collection is all about. Don't forget to enter that Puzzle Quest The Legend Returns giveaway. There's a link down in the comment section below, and let's dive in! The Double Dragon and Kunio-kun Retro Brawler Bundle consists of 18 games. The genres vary from side-scrolling action games, beat-em-ups, sports games, and action RPGs. A little fun fact, I know many of you enjoy my reviews of the Data East arcade games which have been released for the Switch. Well, it was a group of former Data East employees who founded the game company Technos. They went ahead and developed plenty games, the most popular of which were the Double Dragon and Kunio-kun games, both of which series Arc System Works acquired the rights to back in 2015. From the moment you boot up this collection, you are graced with a stunning selection screen which offers you a complete view of the entire collection, quite similar to the NES or Famicom Mini Edition. I love it. You also have various options to sort your games, pretty nice touch, that one. By pressing the X button, a complete read-up of the story of each game pops up, as well as a changelog for those games which have received a so-called high-quality version. These changes can be limited to some bug fixes and speed adjustments, or they can be a whole slew of refinements. Great stuff! And for those which have been worked up, tapping the Y button changes the version in a heartbeat. Every game comes with 4 save slots, as has become a standard for emulation. Unfortunately, in this release, there is no option of rewinding, so you better use that save state a lot. Let's start with the legendary twin brothers Billy and Jimmy Lee, the stars of Double Dragon. Released in June of 1988, this game laid the foundation for a whole generation of games and gamers alike. The first in the series, which was an instant hit in arcade halls as people had the option of joining up with a friend and beat up baddies barehanded with baseball bats, whips, pipes, brass knuckles and whatnot. There's a decent level of platforming, from jumping platforms to climbing ladders. There are the usual boss battles and a storyline which strings up the game like a necklace. The sprite work in this game is pretty basic, but so effective. The music has become iconic and overall, it is one of the better games in this collection. Double Dragon 2 released about a year and a half later in January of 1990 and is, in my opinion, the best in the series. It took what made the first game great and improved upon it, the most obvious of which is an instant visual upgrade. Whereas the character was rendered in flat colors in Double Dragon 1, we now have more details in the pixel-based sprite as well as nice shadow effects. However, the biggest improvement, in my opinion, is the option of a back kick, allowing you to fight on both fronts without having to turn around. All in all, a great game and one which keeps you coming back for more. The last game in the original trilogy is Double Dragon 3: The Sacred Stones, released in February of 1991. The game was originally developed by a different studio, which can be felt from the first go. The graphics are significantly different, not a real upgrade in my opinion. In fact, I feel there was an attempt at putting in too much detail in too less pixels, resulting in an obscure character model. The movesets have been revamped, not all for the better, especially as that back kick has been removed, although the option of running is a nice addition. But I do love that mid-air summer assault. Next up, Renegade. Released in January of 1988, this is the Western version of the original Nekketsu Renegade Kunio-kun. And this is where it does get a bit confusing with this collection. Some of these games are in many ways an overlap, as is the case with these two. However, as it went back in the day, many games which were originally developed in Japan required a rework of some kind in order to be suitable or even acceptable to the Western audience. In Renegade, you have to battle your way through gangs of thugs who come at you in groups of 3 members. And there's a pretty smart AI in there. They definitely help each other. You have 2 minutes to wipe the floor with them or face the insult if you fail. It is one of the toughest games in this collection, but I do like it a lot. But not quite as much as the original though. But more on that later. 1989's Super Dodgeball is another game which has received a redress to fit the Western audience. Its original we'll have a look at in a minute or two. The game offers several gameplay modes, but all revolve around the same concept, dodgeball. And it is genuinely fun. Jump, dodge, catch and throw your way to the top in this classic sports game. One of the best things about the Kunio-kun games, including the Western parts, and in particular in the sports games, are the character animations, the over-the-top reactions of flying people after being hit, and the facial expressions are freaking awesome. Next up, one of my favorites, 1990's River City Ransom. And yes, this one too is a westernized version of a Kunio-kun game. We'll get to that one. In essence, a beat 'em up of the first degree, it features a ton of RPG elements, allowing you to fine-tune your character in quite imaginative ways. Eat out in a restaurant and browse the menu in a coffee bar and hit the streets once more. For every guy you beat up, a coin drops to the ground, which you'd better collect, as building up your character doesn't come cheap. Crash and the Boys Street Challenge was released in October of 1992 and is one of the most challenging games in the series, requiring some serious time and effort to get better at. In the game, you are taking on several competitors in different events. These vary from 400-meter hurdles to hammer throw, from swimming to rooftop jumping, and finally a one-on-one fight. Before each event, you do have the option of buying an item or potion to help boost your stats. Unsurprisingly, this game too is a westernized version of a Kunio-kun game, but that is also the last one in the series, which has been rendered thus. April 17, 1987. Date of birth of Nekketsu Renegade Kunio-kun, the one and only original. I have spent several hours playing this game, and as frustrating as it is, especially in the beginning when one of those bullies just thrusts you in the stomach over and over, it is a great game and a worthy classic. This game introduced the world to protagonist Kunio, who is named after former Technos' president Kunio Taki, and even ended up becoming the very mascot for the company. Nekketsu High School Dodgeball Club, released on July 26, 1988, is the original dodgeball game, which saw it being localized in the West only a year later. The stories differ, as well as the names of the characters, and we see a different setting, but at the core it is still the same game. Personally, I do prefer this version, as it somehow feels cleaner than the reworked version. What do you think? River City Ransom did great, but it was 1989's Downtown Nekketsu story, which laid the foundation about a year before. Dive in this Kunio-kun story, which takes place 6 months after the original Kunio-kun Renegade game. Team up with your biggest rival, Ricky, and save the girl. Oh, and don't forget to get that cup of coffee on your way. Nekketsu High School Dodgeball Club Soccer Story, released in May 1990, is the quintessential soccer game versus fighting mechanisms. It is the forefather of Super Mario Strikers, if you will. A pretty rough setup, not all that refined, but with plenty of attitude. Kick your opponents into tomorrow to recover the ball and see the net bulge as you score. October 12, 1990 saw the release of an absolute classic in the series in Downtown Nekketsu March Super Awesome Field Day. A sports game of sorts with plenty of beat 'em up elements. Race through the city with your opponents at your heels and leave them in the dust by any means necessary. Run, swim, jump, climb, scratch and claw your way to the podium. A really cool game, especially when playing with a friend. If you think River City Ransom was awesome, wait till you see Downtown Special, Kunio-kun's historical period drama. This is probably my personal favorite in the entire collection. Released on July 26, 1991, roughly 2 years after River City Ransom, this game runs off the same engine, but has been worked up considerably. It is perhaps one of the first open-world RPG beat-em-ups. You can travel the world freely, which you can look at on the world map, allowing you to go as you please, following the main story or delve into side stories. The other big change from its older brother is the fact that now you're not going around solo, but you have a partner to tag along, even if you're playing alone. The whole Edo period look and feel of the game is the cherry on top. Check out that sprite work, baby! go go Nekketsu Hockey Club slip and slide madness is Kunio's 1992 take on the ice hockey genre. A pretty cool game with all the usual Kunio-kun stuff, hard tackles, great artwork, easy to start and hard to master controls, and all in all, a sound sports game and a welcome addition to the collection. Remember Crash and the Boys Street Challenge? Just a few months prior to that release, the original surprise Nekketsu New Records The Distant Gold Medal was released. In just about every aspect the same game, but with the original Kunio-kun cast and accompanying story, as well as a befitting artwork. A tough as nails competitive game, but one to cherish for sure. Oh, and did you notice the difference in the naming of the events? The 400-meter hurdles are all the same, but the hammer throw has an added golf to the name. The swimming event lost its Battle Royale label. Rooftop jumping was originally named Building Pole Vault. And fighting used to be called Wacky Judo. Cool, huh? Another one of my favorites, Nekketsu Fighting Legend, released days before Christmas of 1992, is an awesome 2-on-2 fighting game which has you battle waves of opponents alongside your partner. And my partner of choice, Kunio. Yup, for once you're not playing as Kunio, but rather as yourself. You even have to fill in your date of birth. Use your arsenal of moves and the arenas to their full advantage and fight your way to the top. Kunio-kun's Nekketsu Soccer League was released in 1993, 3 years after the original soccer game. And this version is really neatly done. The basic setup is the same, but the biggest difference is the weather system. See the winds swoop across the field and lightning strike down while you run down the pitch. These effects go beyond the pretty facelift as such. They actually influence the play as you get slowed down or sped up depending on the direction you're going. last game in the series is Nekketsu Street Basketball All-Out Dunk Heroes, which came out in late December of 1993. What is a good game collection without a basketball game anyways? Probably one of the zaniest basketball games I've ever played though, with 3 hoops stacked atop each other, all the punches, jumps and whirlwind hurricane kicks you can muster as you play across different cities alongside your longtime rival, Ricky. Everything in this collection is so nicely wrapped up and presented here, and on top of all that goodness, they have added in achievements, and the list is pretty long at that. A thing which I really like is the option of changing your avatar, quite common in Arc System Works games, to any of the hundreds of characters sprites featured in all of these games. Unfortunately, at the time of recording, the online lobbies were empty, not surprised, so I couldn't show you off my avatar just yet. But what I will show you is the little fine-tuning of the graphical output of these games. Change the background of each game as you see fit, and render the games in their original format, or any of the other options. Double Dragon and Kunio-kun Retro Brawler bundle. 18 games, 7 of which have never crossed the Japanese border, and all in all a trip down memory lane I sincerely hope you will not soon forget. As I stated in the introduction, the game is available from today for just under $40 US, which actually makes it just about $2 a game, which is a steal, especially considering some of its competitors out there. And these games are well worth preserving and playing over and over again. Of course, the Double Dragon games have been a mainstay for decades, and while the West may not be so familiar with many of the Kunio-kun games, hence this release bringing over 7 of those games from that long ago, some of these Kunio-kun games are ranking among my favorite games out of the 8-bit era. Games such as that historical period drama, or the dodgeball, or special fighters. I mean, there are some really good games in here. But what do you think? Have you ever played any of these 18 games? I'm sure you must have at least played 1 or 2 of them. And do you think it's worth picking up this collection? Be sure to drop a comment in this section down below. And either way, be sure to hit that like button. If you have enjoyed this review, it will definitely help in the search results. And if you're new here, don't be a stranger, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.